Hi, Gabby. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Dreamers podcast. Thank you so much for joining me on this little journey of mine.
I love it. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh my
Thank
God.
you, thank
Thank you,
you.
girl. I was so excited when I saw your message. I was like, yes, girl. Let's do this.
Woo. Well, hi, my name is Gabriela. I go by Gaby. Um, and I'm a DACA recipient. And I came to the United States when I was 13 years old. So I remember pretty clearly that
Oh,
age.
okay. Did you come here like with a visa?
I came with a tourist visa,
Oh, okay.
and me and my family overstayed our visa. Um,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, we had the 6 month permission to stay, and then we just went back.
I love it. You're like, what? We gotta go.
Exactly. But yeah, it was my dad had come earlier, 2 years before us,
Okay.
and once he felt like he was stable enough and he felt that he had a job, and me and my mom followed. So I'm an only child, so I guess it was a little bit easier in that sense. It
Right.
was just me and my mom. Um, I already had a tourist visa before because I had come when I was like 7 years old. I have a paternal side aunt who's been here um for 30 plus years, pretty much all her life.
Yeah.
So I would come here. I came here twice before when I was like 7 and 10 to go to Disney. It's like little trip
Yeah.
with her, and I would come and I went to Disney, Universal, and then I would go back. I would just come for like a two week vacation during the summer. So I already had my passport, my tourist visa.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so I do remember going through the process of the visa with my mom, and for me, for renewal of mine, um, and my mom having to present and prove that she was gonna come and just do the tourism
Yeah.
with me and then go back.
Yeah.
We were both approved, and then once my dad came and he found a job, he stayed. I guess he was foreseeing how things in Venezuela were gonna get
Oh,
without really 100% sure of what was gonna happen. So he was like, I don't trust these people. Like, I think we need to get out. And that's what he did. He came and he stayed for, yeah, it was like almost 2 years that I didn't see him in person. And then me and my mom came with him and followed
okay.
him and joined
What
him
is going on
afterwards.
in Venezuela?
So right now or we are, the country is under a dictatorship. It went from Hugo Chavez, who is kind of slow. He sold this like vision of socialism, but he didn't give anybody socialism. He gave a dictatorship where he decided to change our constitution to the point that our constitution was like you can only be reelected 2 times, pretty much almost similar as the U.S. Constitution. I think we used to have it elections every 4 years, pretty much the same as U.S. And he changed it to he can be reelected indefinitely amount of times, as many times as he would want. It was for every 6 years instead of four. Um, and then slowly, he took control over pretty much every private property of big corporations that we had in Venezuela that were our main sources of income in the country, besides obviously the oil. And to the point that Venezuela was he went from being one of the richest country in South America to one being one of the poorest country.
Oh,
The
wow.
inflation, he added, the way that he wanted to fix the inflation was adding zeros to, so 1,000 was now 1,000,000. And I
Wow.
I left when I was 13, so now I don't understand our money.
Oh,
um,
wow.
because he has changed so many times. And then he took zeros, and then added one and took one, and it was like, that's just not how it works, sir.
Right?
But
Wow.
so it became a thing. It got really bad. I think me and my mom left when it wasn't as bad. Like we would
Okay.
start seeing little things like in the grocery store, like, oh, we haven't, there's like no butter. It's been like a week and we haven't found butter. Oh, that's weird, but we weren't thinking about it too much.
Okay.
Um, so yes, we did see some of those missing items in the groceries, but by the time we moved here, that's after we moved here, that's when things got really bad. Like people were not finding any basic stuff over there.
Yeah.
Pharmacies were empty because the country couldn't afford to import anything, and everything that we would do in our country was, they all those big companies left, and they're now based mostly in Colombia because it's the closest one to us. And so we lost a lot of that money that would help the country, and we had,
Wow.
it just became really bad. So me and my mom got out, I guess, right on time.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
My my family though is, I have still have family over there, and I
Yeah.
have cousins. It's crazy because I always thought when I left, I remember being in the airport with all my cousins saying goodbye because we all knew, right, that we were gonna stay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I knew that I was gonna come to be with my dad.
Yeah.
I knew that I was going to probably not go back to Venezuela for a while
Yeah.
because I was gonna go to school here. I was gonna do those things here. And I think my family, obviously, the adults understood better the whole being undocumented, that I wasn't gonna be able to travel, right? I don't
Oh,
think I
yes.
had that concept. It was more of like, I'm gonna go be with my dad,
Yes.
get a family together, so that's what we want. And all my cousins were there. Now, today, I have three cousins in Spain, two cousins in Argentina, one cousin that came into the United States is in Miami. I have another cousin in Mexico. I had cousins that were in Peru and Ecuador, but I have two little cousins, like my second cousins in Ecuador. So I have cousins everywhere.
Oh,
Our
wow.
family is completely spread out
Yeah.
because of everything that happened in Venezuela. So everybody's like somewhere trying to make it, and the people that are still in Venezuela are the ones that we're trying to help, right? Almost every other month or so. There was a point where we were doing it every month. Now it's
Yeah.
not. We do it on big, like Christmas, right before
Yeah.
Christmas. Sometime mid-year, we send like a big box that goes through shipments, like the
Yeah.
boats, and takes like almost a month to get there. But is things that, like, there was a point where we were sending once a month because we needed to send toilet paper, tuna, like basic, like
Yeah.
toothpaste, shampoo, like things that are basic needs. We were
Yeah.
doing it because
Wow.
of how bad things got over there. Now things are a little bit better in the sense that they can find things. They
Okay.
cannot afford it.
Oh,
So just so you have an example, for example, a monthly income of somebody with a career over there is going to be around $5. Their their basic basket of, like, a basic basket of things, like, you know, the rice, the pasta, the chicken, the oil, without any of, like, the good vegetables, and
yeah.
just a basic basket like that
Yeah.
costs around $20. So it's almost impossible for
Yeah.
anybody to be able to afford and to pay and to eat. Or so now we're, even though now things are better in the sense that the supermarkets are stuck, they cannot afford it. So, and even though our money is el bolivar, you go to a supermarket and you're able to pay in the dollar. Like,
Oh,
why?
huh.
It's, it's one of those things. So Now my family will go to the supermarket and we'll tell them do a really good like stocking of a whole run of things, and we over here can pay through Cell
Oh,
to the
smart.
markets over there.
Yeah.
So it's like $50, a really good thing that is gonna last them at
Yeah.
least a month to 2 months. We like get as much as you can,
Yeah.
and that helps. And then during the month, they can just buy the things that will go bad, some
Right. Like
vegetables or some
fruits.
extra
Yeah.
beef or things like that.
Yeah.
But that's now kind of how we do it over sending boxes because it got to be too expensive for us.
True.
And now there's things over there. It's just a matter of paying it. And there's
Yeah.
now we can help that way. So that's kind of how my I don't know if my dad really knew exactly what was gonna happen, but he had a feeling.
And
He's
look
like,
at
I don't know.
him. Yeah.
Plus, he had the opportunity to come and be with my aunt here for a little bit, and once he was able to find a place for on his own and everything, that's when we decided to
Wow.
join.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is, do you see this like almost like a little bit of a foreshadowing to like what's happening now here?
Yeah, I think one of the things that scares me the most about this new president-elect is the way that he speaks. The things that he says, the things that those little comments of like, the enemy within, and the outside people are, I'm the only one that can save us. I'm the only one that can do the right thing. I'm the only one that can change things. I must clean the swamp and all those things that he had said.
Yes.
Um, he speaks just like Chavez did when he was president, when he was
Yeah.
coming to an election. And that scares me. Even the joke that like I'll be a dictator on day one, I'm like, hoo, you can do so much thing on one day as a
Right?
dictator, like.
Yes.
And when he says little things about changing the constitution, I just get like, ooh,
You're
that reminds me of
right?
Chavez and how he did it. I mean,
Yeah.
Chavez died, and once he died, he pretty much told me he appointed his own person. Like, oh, he's gonna be my fellow person that he's gonna take over, and he's taken over. And we have
Wow.
had elections, but they're never valid. They're never clean. They're always like,
Right.
oh no, they won by a landslide, and
Yeah.
we're like, did they though? Did they? And for the
Wow.
first time this past August, we had elections, and a new president was elected. The Maduro continues to say that he won, but this time the opposition had plans, and they were actually able to take the physical, like, actas, which is the physical, like, printout of your voting.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so you get a certificate when you go and vote, like
Yeah.
that little receipt, and you're supposed to put that little receipt in a little box. So they were able somehow to gather all those boxes, or not all of them, like 80%, and take them out of the country and took them to like the United Nations. And so everybody knows that Maduro didn't win, that this new
Wow.
president, Edmundo Gonzalez, won,
Yeah.
and he's supposed to take power January 10th.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the day that we exchange, and we don't know what's gonna
Oh,
happen
wow.
because
So it's
he
like,
fled
yeah.
to, yeah, and the president-elect, our president-elect, is in Spain right now, hiding for his own safety.
Stop it.
So we don't know if he's gonna take power. Everybody says that they have a plan. The opposition has a plan,
Yeah.
and I believe that they do because they have gotten this far. And I don't think no
True.
other election has gotten to this point that people are still saying no, Maduro lost.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know what's gonna happen, but that's something that we're like, where
Wow.
there has been so many protests over there to the point like a lot of young kids have died. Um, because they're the ones protesting for their better future.
Yes. Yeah.
And it has gotten there was protests in 2012. It got really bad. A lot of people died. I think we had like 2-3 months of protests nonstop, and so many young kids die. and then we had them again in 2017, and again this year. Um, the sad part is that, the protests happened for like a month, maybe 2 months, and then they kind of died down because of the amount of arrests and the amount of death, and then
Yeah.
that's it. And then people go back to their regular life, like, okay, we couldn't do it, we're moving on.
Right.
Um, Obviously from this side, I was like, we just need to keep fighting, but I'm not
Right.
over there, right? So I
True,
can't
true. Yeah.
can't blame them. Um, but it's sad because so many kids have died. I don't know if you've seen in Netflix. It's called Simone. It's like a documentary. I always recommend that. Simone, watch it. It's a story based on true stories of what was happening with the young people, like university level kids. Um, and I always recommend it because it really explains it well.
Okay, I'm
In
gonna
a
look it
matter
up.
that, yeah, it's sad. Don't
Oh
be
my
ready
god.
for sad.
Oh my
It's
god. No.
probably gonna make you cry, so
Oh,
make sure that you're ready, mentally
right.
prepared to watch a sad
I love
movie.
it. Yeah, I literally was writing a note. I was like, I need to look up,
Yeah,
what's going on in Venezuela.
yeah,
That is
and
amazing.
it's one of those things that is like it's crazy because now with this president elect, like I don't know how people are able to support him. And the sad part is that I know a lot of Venezuelans who are citizens and are able to vote supported him because and this is my belief of why, is because he has said so many things about, oh, democrats, they're communists, they're socialists, and as a Venezuelan who apparently Chavez sold us socialism.
Oh, true.
Obviously, if we actually look into what he did, we understand that that's not what he gave us. That's what he promised. That's what he
Yeah.
sold. So any Venezuelan who you speak to, most likely, unless they're very well educated and try to actually do their own research, which is it's not something that happens all the time, but
Yeah.
if just when they hear the word socialism, when they hear the word communism, they freak out. It's
Yeah.
like we're back at Chavez, and I'm like, actually, he has a lot more similarities to Chavez
It sounds
than
like it. Yeah.
the Democratic Party. But a lot of
Yeah.
people they don't see it because they're just scared, just because of the words, without looking into the research, without actually looking into what he sold and what he actually did, and and people's like, Venezuela is a socialist country. It's like, no, Venezuela right now is under a dictatorship. Um, our dictator sold us a socialism country, a socialist country, but that's not what he actually provided ever.
Right.
Um, and that's the difference, right? And a lot of people just hear the words and they freak out. So
Yeah.
I know
Very
that a
true.
lot of Venezuelans voted for Trump because of that. And it's the same thing, they see it's the same thing as Cubans, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Because the same Venezuela was kind of is following the footsteps of Cuba and
You
Fidel
know what? I was
Castro.
gonna say that, right? Because you
Yeah.
guys couldn't find a lot of the stuff. You guys couldn't buy anything. All these
Mhm.
companies started leaving, so it has a
Yep.
lot of similarities to like Cuba.
Exactly. So we were like literally book, and Chavez and Fidel were BFFs.
Oh,
Actually, Chavez apparently, supposedly, we never really know the actual truth, but apparently he died with Fidel over there in Cuba.
oh
There was
wow.
a point where all of our Venezuelan doctors left because they couldn't practice the way that they want to practice. And Chavez ended up bringing Cuban doctors, and we had Cuban little hospitals in Venezuela, like little clinics with
Yeah.
Cuban doctors that would like support. And it was so random because people were like, "Oh, look, see, he helps," and the mainly the more uneducated and poorest people of the country
Yeah.
benefited at some point from things that he did. Um, but everybody else just like he pretty much did what he could to bring any middle class or upper class down to the bottom, and gave them the minimum
Yeah.
to keep them coming back for more.
That's what it
Um,
sounds like. Yeah.
to the point that he stopped giving anything, right? And then everything went to shit in a way.
Wow.
But yeah, it is. It's very similar to Cuba, and that's why I think Cubans too, the majority voted for Trump as well because of
Isn't it
the
crazy?
same words. It's communism and socialism. They got freaked out without doing the research, and
Yeah.
he's right. The Democrats are socialists, and that's it. And that's the only option, And it's
It's like,
sad
yeah,
and it's funny and it's scary and I'm just like, and in my head I'm like, if you just put side by side an interview between Chavez and Trump, the things that they say,
very similar.
the way that they speak, is so similar.
Yeah.
That is the I don't know how people don't see it. I don't know how the Venezuelans didn't see it. A lot of them, right? Like I
Yeah.
know, for example, my family was not happy with Trump. Um, and I know a lot of Venezuelans that were not, but still, we know a lot of that they were. Like statistically,
Yeah.
when we look at the Latino vote, that Latino vote was mainly Cubans and Venezuelans.
Yeah.
There was there was not that many Mexicans. There was not that many, Puerto Ricans or anything. It was the majority was Cubans and Venezuela, and I was just like so disappointed when I saw those stats. I was like, oh,
Oh my God, right? Yeah,
so
I saw it
sad,
and I was like,
so sad.
how? How is it that so many Latinos voted?
Yeah, exactly. It was. And I think, and I come back to that conclusion. It's because they're scared of those words without even understanding the concepts behind communism, behind socialism, and behind what we actually have in our countries, right? Behind what Cuba is facing right now, without knowing exactly what Venezuela is facing right now.
Yeah.
So it just kind of they just they without wanting to do any research, right? They just
Yeah.
go with that.
Yeah,
And I
true.
think that's the biggest issue is that little, I don't know if it's laziness to look for something or if they're looking as to, is Venezuela a socialist country and if that's all they look for and the
Yeah.
first article is always going, you can always find something that is going to be on your side.
Oh yeah,
That's,
yeah, for
that's
sure.
on, so I think maybe that's what they do and then they find the first article that says yes and then they're like, okay, that was my answer.
Right? Yeah. True. Yeah, it's
They are. So I honestly wish I could understand them more. And part of me, I'm gonna go and interview all these Venezuelans that voted for Trump and see. But then part of me is like, I'm a bit too frustrated and it's not gonna come out a productive
right.
conversation.
Yeah,
So,
because you're just like, I just want to understand like what did it for you to be
hmm
like, oh, you got my vote, you got me to see your idea. Like, what was it that he said that clicked in your head and was like, yes, this is the person.
hmm I trust me, it's, I'm curious, but I feel like at the same time, it's not gonna go well.
Right?
Like
I
it's
feel like
not
it's just
gonna
gonna cause so
be.
much frustration. You're just like, I still don't see it.
Exactly. So I feel like until I am, especially right now, because to me elections are still fresh. That little wound is like still ouchy that he
Yeah,
won. Like I get it, we have to live with it, and
yeah,
hopefully he's not able to do the things that Chavez is. And that's what I always say. I'm like, I
yeah.
really hope that I'm wrong, because obviously I don't want this country to end up like Venezuela is, right?
Right.
I don't want to have to leave again.
Oh
Like,
my, oh my God, I know. Like, there's a lot of people that are doing like the self deportation, like the
oh yeah, so many. I actually I joined a group in Facebook to like look information, see
yeah,
what people are doing, and just to kind of be prepared to like when they talk about making sure your diplomas are apostillados, that they have
oh
that thing.
yeah,
Um, and I'm like, oh, interesting. That's something that I should do just in case, whether just to be prepared. There's certain things, have your documents ready, everything in one folder that is an easy grab. And I'm
yeah.
like, and
Isn't
and they're just talking about it, so scary,
yeah,
interesting and scary, I
yes.
guess.
Were you were you scared the first time he got in?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I was. I think I was scared, but I think I'm more scared now.
yeah,
Um, I think I was worried. I remember when he won the first time, I was doing my undergrad, and I remember crying. Like one of my classes, we sat down in a circle and just kind of speak about how we were feeling about the elections. And I remember just crying, straight up crying in the
Yeah.
class. I don't think people knew I was undocumented until when I started crying there.
Yeah.
Um, and then I went and cried to one of my professors who was kind of my mentor. I was like, I'm done. I don't want to apply for no master's programs. I'm tired. Like, what's the point if I'm gonna? He's like, now, like, still apply, still follow whatever happens, gonna happen, but keep doing what you're supposed to. And I remember just feeling so defeated. Um, I think then, yes, I was scared, but I kept thinking, I was like, well, I live with my parents. They are undocumented, but at that point, if we had somebody, I had my parents like carry those little cards like that said like I'm not gonna speak to you, blah blah blah. Um, we went to this little presentation where they show us what a warrant actually looks like, and think just to be aware.
Yes.
You don't open the door, you don't, we were very cautious, but at the same time, I'm like, if anything, if I, because I have DACA, so under that, they know where I live.
Literally.
I'm in the system, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, if I get something, me and my mom and dad, you guys are going to my tia's house. They live in a very white, predominantly neighborhood, a little bit more upper class. I'm like, I doubt ICE is gonna go to that side. I
Yeah.
mean, in my head, I'm like, I don't know if
Right.
they're gonna be
Right.
going, So
True.
you guys are gonna go hide over there if we need
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Um, Now, unfortunately, both my parents now have TPS. Biden provided the temporary protection program for Venezuelans.
Oh, that's
So both
awesome.
my parents are now in the system too. So now I think I'm more scared, I think, because of them.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
because I could hide them, but they know where they work, they know where they live, they know everything, right? So before they were a ghost in this country,
Yeah.
besides paying their taxes and having their 18 number where
Yeah.
both mom and dad have paid taxes every single year since they've been here.
Yeah.
And now they are in the system. They
That's
could
also
fight
like,
them.
isn't that like also such a like a lot of people think that we're here and that we don't contribute.
And it's so sad because it's like undocumented immigrants, I think they provide almost like not like 3 billion or 5 billion. I don't even know the number,
Right?
correct
It's in the
number,
billions.
but it's in the billions. That
Yeah.
I know. It's with the
Yeah.
B, with the
Right?
billions part.
Yeah.
And we contribute to those taxes when we cannot get any benefits of that, right? Like I wasn't able to get any federal aid for school um at all. So I went through all my programs, paying out of pocket, doing payment plans, working under the table, do whatever I had to do. Um, my parents wouldn't even benefit to go to a doctor. Like they would only go under emergency situations, like you either go or you're gonna die type of situations.
Yes.
And it's been like once for my mom, and that's about it. My dad hates the doctor, so he avoids it. And
I'm right there with you,
like
buddy.
they
Literally.
don't don't benefit from any of those
Mm-mm.
things, and they contribute so much money to it. And people say, oh, they're probably getting government benefits. It's like they don't qualify.
We can't.
Nothing. Like
No.
you don't qualify for medical, you don't qualify for food stamps, you don't qualify for housing assistance, none of it.
None of it.
Everything we've done is completely out of pocket, completely fully with our hard work.
Yes.
And and it makes me sad because people really think that we can benefit from it. And I'm like, if you just look just a little bit farther, you will find out that we can. Like
Yes.
even my dad would drive without a license for a while because he
God,
didn't have one.
girl, I was
Then he
there.
find exactly, and now finally that he's able to get a license. Thank God he has a license,
Right.
and now I have a license. My mom doesn't like to drive, so she's like, I'll take the bus. So she's a bus
Yeah.
person. She's
Oh, I
an
love
Uber
it.
person.
Yeah.
She hates driving, or she's
Girl,
always
you're
the
not missing out
princess,
on nothing.
the
There's just
passenger princess.
crazy
Yeah.
people out there.
Oh my God, it is. It is. So so
So
it's all of that.
you relax
Is
on that
it's
bus.
exactly. She loves him.
Yeah.
She's like, it's my time to like just watch my TikToks and
There you
things
go.
and
Yes.
scroll or read. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, you don't need the extra
this,
stress of these people. Mm-mm.
yeah. But yeah, it's crazy because we don't benefit from any of that, and even though we don't benefit from it, we're still paying full rents. We're still paying full price in everything in grocery stores. We don't get no help with food stamps
No.
or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
And they support so much. They give so much money to this economy,
Yeah.
and it's so sad that people really don't see that or
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I saw
don't.
interviews of like people going and asking Trump supporters, like, do you know how much immigrants bring into the country, like how much money they put into the economy? And they were like,
None of
no,
it,
like
Beth.
how? They're here undocumented. And they were like, somebody told them, like, they can get a number to do their
An
taxes.
18 number. They don't even know
Yes,
the 18 or 18.
yes,
I don't know what's called.
yeah. And it's like, and they were like, oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, just right there, like you saw it in their face where like the light bulb clicked, you know? And you were just like, how do these people not know that? Like,
And it's crazy because it's something that is so easy to research too.
true. Yeah,
And people just I go back to like maybe it's really just laziness
true.
because this is something that you could really research and put
Yeah,
together
yeah,
very fast.
yes,
Because if you can just even put undocumented pay taxes, they're gonna be like, yes,
true.
correct, they don't have a
Yeah,
social security, but there is this
yeah,
thing called an
yes.
19 that you can qualify
That
for.
is so true. That quick 3 words.
And it's sad because it goes back to like, wow, you are really unaware of what undocumented immigrants do to this country.
Yeah,
And I hate when people say things like, oh, they're taking our jobs. And I'm like, if somebody who's undocumented, who doesn't have a social security, can do the work that you couldn't, or they
mm-hmm.
got hired to do a work that you couldn't do, I think it's all about you. This is
Right,
has everything to do with you and not with the undocumented person that is taking your job.
exactly.
Because it's funny to me too when they go with like, oh, they're taking our jobs, they're using our all our federal aid, they're taking all the money, they're abusing the system. And I'm like, okay, we don't qualify for any of that, but
No,
sure. But then in the other side they're saying too like, they're if it weren't for them, they're taking all these doctor jobs and great positions, and I'm like, so what are we? Are we abusing the system or are we taking the doctor
right,
positions?
right. It's like make up
Which
your
one
mind.
is it?
Mm-hmm.
Because in both of it, and definitely, um, I know there DACA recipients. There's nurses, doctors. I'm a social worker. Like we have a little bit of everything,
Yes,
and trust me, like I'm not taking nobody's job. Like
right,
not that many people are lined up to do my job. So
right.
it's like,
Very true. Yeah,
so it's unfortunate, right? But
it really
that's
is.
kind of where that's how they see us.
They
That's
do.
that's
They
sad,
do.
but yeah,
And you said you came here when you were 12,
13.
13. You When did you find out about DACA?
Um,
Because
I
it started
believe it
what, like in
was,
2012, I think. That's when the
yeah,
program started.
exactly. So that's when that first happened. Right away, I applied.
Yeah.
2012. I did not have the funds to pay for an attorney, so I filled up the application by myself with the
Oh
help
my
of my
God.
parents, with the help of
Really?
my aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
We read the instructions 200 times,
Yeah.
and I submitted it in 2012. As soon as we could submit,
Yeah.
I submitted it. Um, almost, I want to say like 7 months later or something, but it was already 2013. I got a letter back. They were asking for more proof that I had not left the country. Um,
Oh.
some big, I had just graduated high school, so I had stuff from high graduation, but there was a missing period
Oh,
during
little
my
gap.
first college, like small gaps,
Yeah.
and I was like, but I was in school, like in taking community college classes, so I had
Okay.
to go back, and I got like affidavit letters from. mm, I used to dance back in college, so from the president of the salsa club, She wrote an affidavit letter for me saying she's been here, she's been practicing as like vice president of the club.
Yeah.
We meet every week, so there's no time that she could not be here. I even got my gym membership, like something that said the days that I
Oh.
went to the gym. Thank God back then I used to go a lot to the gym. Not anymore. That wouldn't help me now.
You're like, now
But
it's
back
clear.
now it'll be gaps and gaps. But back then I used to, so
You're
that
like,
helped
thank
me.
goodness.
So I did bank accounts because
Okay.
yes, it's funny because the day that it happened when Obama did the announcement, everybody apparently knew to go and do a transaction in your bank of the day of. I
No.
didn't know that. So I had
Me
transactions
neither.
from like 3 days after and like days before.
Yeah.
But of that day, I didn't have transactions. So
Oh,
I still
wow.
put all of it, like I did as much as I could and I
Yeah.
sent it back and it did get approved in 2013. So I have had DACA since 2013 and, and
Wow.
I'm, and I'm every 2 years.
Right? Oh, it's like, why do we have to renew it every 2 years?
It's so frustrating. So much money,
Literally,
so much
yes.
money.
Oh
And
my God.
one time, the first time that they started doing it online, I think it was this past time that I renew, no, not the last one, but the one before, that they had just opened the online
Oh,
version that we can renew online, which makes it a little bit easier.
I didn't know that.
Yes, it makes it so much easier, to be honest, because
Oh,
it
okay.
captures most of your information from the previous application,
It just
and
copies
you
and
just
pastes
kind
it.
of yeah, so you can just
Oh,
copy and paste your own answers, and it's so much helpful.
and then you
I
just send
st-
it through.
yeah, and you pay
Yeah,
online too. You
yeah,
do like you put a debit card or whatever, and they'll
yeah,
charge it. And the first time that it went through, I wasn't too sure how to do it,
yeah.
and I paid twice for
Oh,
one transaction. So I paid them
yeah.
over $1,000 in one transaction, which left me like dying. And I called, I was like, can you guys give me my money back? And they're like, no, it was your mistake, no ours. And I was like, assholes.
Stop it.
Sorry.
No.
I was so
Oh
mad.
my
I was
God.
so
Yeah,
mad.
literally. You would think they would have been like, oh, hey, there's two on here.
And I even request, I'm like, well, is it possible to just defer that payment for in 2 years when I
Oh,
need to reapply?
true.
And I can just, and if it went up, I'll pay the difference then. And they were like, nope, it was your mistake. And it was correct. It was my mistake. I had, like, I started one application and then I realized that you need to do the renewal part. So I started the other one. And then when I click payment, it sent payments to both. So I had sent two defer
Oh,
actions, a renewal and a like initial, but the initial obviously got rejected and declined, whatever. But I
yeah.
still took the money. I
Wow.
was so mad at myself. My parents were mad because I was like, "Oh my God, that's like almost 600." I was like, "I know."
Yeah. Oh
Thank
my God.
and the beauty, or I guess helpful thing, is that you can pay credit cards. So
True,
I was
true.
using
You're
my
like,
credit card at that point, and I'm like, "Oh, it's not like I didn't have funds in it. It went through," but I was just so mad.
wow. Well, that is
Now
good
I'm
to
always so
know.
careful. Yeah, just be very careful. Make sure that is the renewal. Make sure, and the renewal is gonna take you through the defer action part first, and then it's
Okay.
gonna send you directly. It's gonna automatically bring up the work authorization one, so you don't have to start another authorization now. Like it's gonna take you through all the
Like step through
steps,
step.
which is
Okay.
what I didn't know. I thought I was doing the defer and the work permit like we normally would do in
Yes.
paper.
Right.
So yeah, so be careful with that.
Okay.
Pay
So there you go,
twice because you will
guys.
not get your money back. I
Yeah.
even at that point I was just so mad. I was like, man, like, and I tried calling so many times to speak to
Oh,
different
just to
people
see
over
if
the
you got
phone,
like one
just
nice
to see if
person.
somebody will give me a different
Yeah.
answer. No, they all gave me the same
They're
answer, so
like,
I gave
nope.
up. I was like,
Keeping your
okay, then
money,
never
girl.
mind. Exactly, sadly, but
Oh
hey.
my God. On the renewal. Okay. I am going to write that down. Oh my goodness. Okay. Next question. Um, what are some challenges that you encountered? Well, you were undocumented when you were 13, so did you encounter any challenges then?
I think when I was 13, I didn't. I think the first time that I realized that I couldn't travel, that I couldn't do anything was I want to say it was my senior year or my junior year in high school. Senior or
Right.
junior.
Because a lot of schools now they do these field trips and you can like sign up and they can go, overseas or something.
And that's what it was. I think the first time, because like all the in-state, like when they would do the field trip to like Washington D.C. and things like that, I
Oh,
had missed that. It had happened the years before I have gotten here,
oh,
so I hadn't gone to those because I got here in eighth grade. I
oh,
started
okay.
eighth grade here, so they had gone to field trips in seventh grade. Then eighth grade it wasn't nothing crazy, so I went to high school, and it was when in high school when I was in the salsa team. I used to dance, and my team had an opportunity to go and dance in this cruise that was gonna go like for 2 days around. Like I think they were gonna, but they were touching Mexico. It was gonna be on
Oh,
Mexican waters, so that was the first time that I was like, I want to go, and my coach was like, okay, like, and it wasn't until he's like, do you have a passport? And I was like, I have my Venezuelan passport. And they're like, bring it in. And I show it to him. And he was like, unfortunately, you can't. And I was like,
right.
oh,
You're like, what do you mean?
okay. I was like, I guess. And I talked to my parents. And I think that's when the first time that the conversation happened that is like, yeah, you cannot travel outside of the country. And this one is going to Mexico, so you cannot go. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And and that following year, I think that's why I think it was junior year, because then senior year, the team went to Brazil,
Oh, wow.
and they had a chance to go to Brazil. And I was like, I want to go.
Right.
Couldn't make it either.
Mm.
My coach will be like, make me feel better. Like, if you could, you will be one of the selectors, because you have to select them. And I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
hmm, that doesn't help, but okay.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously senior year, people getting their licenses, and I was like,
Right. You're like,
no, my
oh,
parents are strict. I don't like it. I'm okay taking the bus. It's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't, pretending not to have interest on that. But I think
Right.
those were the times that I realized that what it came with being undocumented, I guess, at
Right.
that point.
It's like you take those little simple things for granted, just like
Mm-hmm.
something so little as being like my driver's license in high school, those little things that.
Yeah. And I go back and I think if I was even there for like the Washington D.C. trip or things like that, I have a feeling that at that point my parents wouldn't have let me go anyway, because of like, first they wouldn't be there, so it's
Oh,
just
true.
safety reasons and just that worry that what if, right, somebody
Right.
stops everybody, like, and you're just there with your Venezuelan passport or something, like,
Yeah.
let's rather not.
Yeah.
So I don't think even those little school field trips like would have, maybe if I would have been here then I would have realized it a lot earlier, uh, because I'm pretty sure my parents would have said no anyway.
Right. True. They would have been like, you know what? We're just gonna play it safe
Mm-hmm.
and not risk
Exactly.
anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So true. So, how you said that having DACA, you can't really request like any funding, like FAFSA or anything, any help to pay for school. How has having DACA helped you with like your education, with being able to do other stuff than just maybe having to settle for a job that you don't like?
I I remember when I first started working, I worked under the table in this restaurant, like little tiny family owned restaurant. And I loved it. It was fun. I loved working, but because they had to pay me cash, um, they wouldn't pay me in the sense that they did pay, but they would pay me very late. I would
Oh,
expect payments, like everybody else, and 2 times a month.
right.
But on the 15th, they would be like, "Oh, sorry, we don't have enough cash, so we'll owe you." So it got to the point that I remember my very gringo uncle, very gringo. When I'm saying that, he's white, like the
Yeah.
whitest of the whitest. he went in and he went to talk to the bosses, like, what are you doing? Like, and I remember the employer said something like, well, but she's undocumented. And he was like, you chose to hire her. You knew what you were
Yeah.
doing, so you won't pay. Um, and I worked with them for, I think, 2 years. By the time I got my permit, as soon as I got my permit, I I stayed with them for a few more months. The one time I went into the office and I put my social with my picture, social, and
How
my
did it
ID in the
feel?
desk. And they were like, is this real? And I was like, yeah. And they were like the happiest.
I couldn't believe they
Like,
even
thank
asked you,
God.
is this real?
Right, right. It's like, I went to my car to park and I got
Right?
like one, like, what
Yeah.
do you want me to do?
There you
I would
go.
have done that from the start if I would have done that, you
True.
know?
True.
So it was so, they were super happy. And I was super
Oh,
happy too. But I was like, at that point, I was able to, I already had 2 years experience at a restaurant. Um, so I started applying everywhere, and I stayed in the restaurant industry for I did pretty much that until I was doing my master's, that I couldn't do both because
yeah.
it was killing me doing full-time work. I mean, full-time school and
A
full-time
full-time work. Yeah.
job. So I was not, that's when I quit, but I was in the restaurant industry, but I went from corporation to corporation. I worked for Chili's. I worked many years for Chili's, and I was like, I want to move up, and they weren't moving me up, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm leaving. Then I worked for North Italia for a few months. Then I moved to PF Chang's, where I stayed the longest until
Yeah.
I fully quit. But having that work permit, it just made finding a job so much easier,
Right. It's just,
so much more comfortable, because the first job that I got, it was a word of mouth. Like, hey, they're looking for a server. They don't
oh,
pay too much, and
yeah.
they need help certain hours. And it was like, then I would like ask my friend who used to work there, that she was the one, like, hey, I'm undocumented. You wanna ask if they would think about it? And they were like,
Yeah.
oh, we'll give her an interview. Let's see. So it was all word of mouth.
Yeah.
Who knew who?
For sure.
And my friend at that point, she'd been working there for a couple of years, I think, and she was moving for school.
Oh,
So she was like, I'm looking for a replacement. Would you be interested for my own replacement? Like, would you be
yeah.
interested? I was like, hey, but this is what I
This is
have
the
to deal with.
situation. Yeah.
Ask them if they are open, then
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And that's how I got that job. And they were open, and it was a great experience for me. Like, I was able to learn a lot. Um, Obviously, I was paid a lot less than everybody else, and I
Isn't
was
that
okay with it.
crazy? Yeah. That we just
And
have to like
we
take
have to
it.
be okay with it,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's either that or nothing type of situation, you know?
Yeah.
Or
True.
we don't know where, if we're gonna find something else, or
Yeah.
when will that come.
Yeah.
So it was like, sure, I'm okay, give me whatever you can.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't not only give me whatever you can, but it's give it to me whenever you can. Whenever
That's
you have enough
true.
cash in your register to pay me,
Right.
then thank you. In
Right.
the in betweens,
That is so
like,
crazy.
I'll keep working and I'll survive from little tips here and there.
Yeah.
And we had to share our tips with the owner, so it wasn't like our tips were our tips. We were half of our tips go to the owner, half of our tips were ours. Still don't understand that. Still
That
not happy
right
about that.
there. There's something wrong with that one.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
But being in that position,
Right. You can't
what
say
can I
anything.
do?
Yeah. You feel like,
Now I would have bring hell back and
right. You'll
forth
be like,
just to
excuse me,
figure it
you're only
out. It's
taking my
my
money.
tips. Exactly. But back then it was like, okay, if
Sure.
that's the rule, that's the rule, and
Right. You just have to
just stay
agree.
quiet, do the best job you can, and that's it. Don't complain, because you're lucky to have it in a way.
That's true, right? That mentality of like, I have to be thankful, grateful to even have this
Hmm.
job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That is so insane. Okay. Have you felt limited or discouraged in pursuing a dream because of your status? You mentioned when you were in school, you told your teacher that you didn't feel like wanting to pursue your education anymore because, what was the point? And
Mhm.
he motivated you and told you, no, still commit, still keep on doing what you're doing until, anything happens.
Yeah, is one of those things like I going to school, obviously I had because of FAFSA, it was expensive. So I stayed in community college for a long time. First because I I was sure that I was gonna be a nurse. Like I
Yeah.
came in from high school, I'm like, I'm gonna be the best nurse ever. And took my first anatomy class and I failed and I was like, never mind. I
Oh
cannot
my
remember the
God.
bones, so
Girl,
how
I
can
took
I able to
anatomy
be a
in high school.
nurse? Oh, in
Why did
high
I
school?
do
Oh
that?
no, no. I was in college and it was horrible
Yeah.
because no. It was bad. So it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. Like I just didn't know. And I met this counselor at my community college, and he was like, what do you like doing? And I was like, well, I know that I want to help people. That's all I know. And I thought being a nurse, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not for me. I don't know how to. Now I don't know what to do. I don't want to be a teacher. My mom is a teacher in Venezuela,
Oh,
and
okay.
I love teaching. I don't like teaching little kids,
Oh,
which is
okay.
weird because I work with little kids. But in my head, if I'm gonna be a teacher, I want to be a like, and I don't high school, no, like I want to be college level. So that's
Oh,
not like I don't think I see myself teaching. He's like, okay. So I thought about psychiatry. I thought about so many things. So
yeah.
I was even taking astrology in El Camino
Oh,
College just to figure out what I wanted to
oh
do.
my God,
Just
girl.
filling my schedule.
Read my chart.
Oh no, don't know, no. I took one class and it wasn't even my best grade.
Girl, isn't it crazy? There's so much to it. I'm like, how do these people
So
know
much to
this?
explore, yeah.
Yeah.
And my parents, they always been very big on education, right? So for them, it's like I don't care what you do, you just don't stop going to school.
Right.
So
Yes.
when there were times that I didn't know what to take, that's when I would take random classes like that. I'll be like, I don't, but I'm in school because they
Yeah.
told me I have to be in school. So I always,
You're like, I'm
every
taking
semester, at least
something.
1 to 2 classes, I
Yeah.
had to be in school always. I don't think there was ever a period where I was not at least taking one class because school was so important. It's been
Yeah.
always so important in my family. And I think after a few times, my counselor was like, maybe you should look into social work. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but sure,
Yeah.
I'll look into it. And I did. And I was like, oh, maybe this is it. And I ended up finally leaving community college, went to Dominguez Hills. And
Okay.
it was funny because that counselor was a teacher in Dominguez Hills. And
Oh,
he was a part-time counselor for El Camino. And I met him one time, and he didn't even remember me because it was one of those like incoming. He wasn't my assigned counselor. It was just one of those who is available today.
yeah.
And I needed somebody because I was just failing like anatomy, and I didn't know what to do with my classes.
Right.
And
You're like, I need to drop this class.
like I need the W over the
Yeah.
F. Like
Yeah.
that's what I needed to do. And and then I met him in school, and he became like my mentor. And
Wow.
when Trump won, that's the person who I cried to. Like I was just like, he's either gonna deport me, he's gonna deport my family. He
Yeah.
knows where I live, so he's definitely gonna deport me. And
Right. All the fears
what's the
came.
point of wasting the little time that I have left in school or
Yeah.
paying for a school or
Right.
like and he was like, you just gotta do what you gotta do. You're here to for a better future, so keep working on your better future until
Yeah.
you cannot.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and and that's what I kept doing, and I kept doing, and then I got when I got accepted into my master's program, it was kind of the same feeling of like, how am I even gonna do this? Because at that point, yes, I have a job. Now I'm legally able to work,
Yeah.
but I work at a restaurant. Like,
And school's
how
expensive.
and how am I gonna pay for a school
Oh
for a
my God. And then
master's
I
program?
hear books are expensive.
So expensive.
Yeah.
Everything is so expensive, and it's full time. And I remember flying, and I remember my parents like, we'll figure it out. Like, just say yes, just say that you were going, and from here
Yeah.
to there, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. There you go.
We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. And it's the same thing with El Camino. I obviously don't qualify for FAFSA, but I did community college. I was able to do the fee waiver. So my classes, they used to cost like 50 per unit. So I was paying like 35 per unit, and I
Oh,
would do payment plans.
yeah.
And the same thing I did at Dominguez Hills. I was doing payment plans and doing as much as I could pay. I would pay
Yeah.
right at once, and then for my master's program, the same thing. It was just like paying as much as I could. Then I got lucky and I was able to get a well, not a scholarship, but it was like a stipend work
Oh, okay.
work. So I was pretty much, they pay for the majority of
Yeah.
my year, and I would work for this company 2 years after I graduated. That was the contract. So they pay for
Oh, that's
almost like
amazing.
80% of my year,
Wow.
because for my master, I went to UCLA, so it was more expensive that at Cal State University, which is
Yeah.
what I applied the most. But my two mentors were like, just try at UC. And I'm like, why should I? At first, I'm not going to get in. And second, I cannot afford it anyway. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, I just give it a chance. And I was like, okay, fine. So I sent my application to UCLA. I got in and I paid that. I got this stipend for the Department of Children and Family Services, which is what I work at now.
Yeah.
And they pay like, I think 18,000 out of the 22 that
That's
is 1 year
amazing.
at
Yeah.
UCLA. And the rest from the 18 to the 22, I did monthly payments. And that's how I was able to afford it. And then I had a work for 2 years after I graduated. That's my commitment. It was two
Yeah.
years of commitment to
Wow.
do my
Yeah.
my like my payback. Like if I didn't work, if I would have quit the first year, I would have to pay back the whole thing
Wow.
plus interest. So they say it was gonna be like 50,000 something. I'm like, yeah, no,
You're like, no, I will make
I'm
this happen.
sticking the 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
staying here 2 years.
Yeah. You're
Even
like, I
if I
got
leave
this.
on 2 year or one, but I stayed the 2 years, and I
Oh,
did, and now
wow.
I'm 5 years in.
That's amazing.
So I didn't leave. I didn't leave, but I'm
Yeah.
still there. But
That is awesome. Wow. It is a
yes.
little more, you have to find like ways to make it happen.
hmm
Yeah.
And I am very privileged and very lucky to have parents who have been supportive 100% of the time, and parents who said, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't even don't even worry. Like we'll school, we'll figure it out. Especially
Right.
when it
Yeah.
came to education, they make sure that they help me with whatever I needed. And that's just me. I got very lucky with them in that sense. I'm very privileged with them.
That's amazing. So, right now, have you seen the interview of President Trump saying how he wants to help all the DACA recipients?
Yes.
What do you think of that? And what do you think of what he's also saying about how he wants to deport everybody and take away birthright citizenship? What are your thoughts on those two things?
Mm. So I 100% believe that he will deport everybody if he could. Like I 100% believe it. If he had the power, like he says he's going to use the military and do that, and if he actually follows through and everybody else says yes to him and he's able to do this, I 100% believe that he will deport anybody and everybody. Um, I know that he says like, oh, I don't want to separate families, so everybody can go too. It's like,
Oh,
and
right.
I
Yes.
100 believe that he will take the citizenship for those younger people or younger kids that do not want to lose their parents, right?
Yeah.
I believe it. I believe too that I don't, if there's an immigration raid or something, I'm caught out in the middle. They're not gonna ask me whether I pay taxes, whether I am DACA, whether I have a school degree. They're just gonna take everybody, and it's not gonna matter whether I'm the criminal they were looking for or I'm not.
Yeah.
Um, that's why I think it's so scary this time, because if he is able to follow through with those, I believe that he would do it.
Right.
Um, do I believe that he wants to help the DACA recipients? No, I don't. I hope I'm wrong, and I really hope he does.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't know if he would. I honestly don't know if he would, because he tried to end DACA the first time around.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to do it. This time he knows how to do it. Pretty much the courts told him, you wrote this, write this instead.
True.
This time it will go through, right?
True.
And so it is really scary. I don't know if he would actually do something that would help DACA recipients have like a path, or something else besides a 2 year. Like, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, well, my work permits right now, I recently renewed it this year, so mine expires in 2026.
Same
So
here.
there's two options. He
Yeah.
either, which makes me mad because a lot of people are renewing right now and we can't because it's too far ahead.
Yes.
And I was like,
Literally.
I don't care if I lose like 5 months, I'll do it again just in case. But it's impossible. They said no. I was like, okay.
Yeah. True.
But it's thinking about whether it's like, okay, I have two options. I either need to be ready to leave the country in 2026, or maybe he'll make us be inactive right away, because he could do that and be like, all DACA are inactive until now, starting immediately, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
part is like, I don't know, and I'm hoping that does do something, but he talks back and forth. I mean, you cannot help DACA recipients and then deport everybody. Like,
Right. That's what I was thinking because,
It
like,
says an oxymoron. Like, that
yes.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
'Cause
Because, like, everything he said, and that when they asked him, oh, like, what are your plans with DACA? Like, everything he said is like on point. Everything he was like, yeah, all of these kids, they came in here as children at no fault
they're
of their
adults.
own.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was like, they're all in their 30s, 40s. They have
Hmm.
families now. Like, they don't know that country. And it's like, so if you know this,
You're like, so you get it. You
yeah,
understand
yeah,
it. Yes, you do. Hmm.
yeah. It's like, then why are we saying all of this craziness?
And and I don't know which one, like, to believe more.
Right.
It's one of those things that I'm like, you're talking back and forth. I told myself, like, if I'm gonna go down, I'll go down fighting this time. I've refused to get married for my papers. Like, people say, just get married. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to. Like, I hope one day I get married, because
Yeah.
yes, I do want to be a wife and a mother someday. But I don't want to do it because of papers.
Yeah.
And if I have to leave, my parents did it when we
Right.
came.
True.
My
Yeah.
parents were probably a little bit older than me right now, but you know what? I we they did it, so
Yeah.
I know that we can do it again. And they've been very. I feel like they know that my anxiety has been through the roof since the elections, and I hate the unknown.
Yes.
My I like to plan. I like
Yes.
planning. I like to know
Yes.
things, and
Yeah.
not knowing what could happen has me
Right.
like going crazy.
Literally.
So I think they've been trying to be very supportive in the sense that, like, do what you feel like is right, and we'll be 100% behind you. And if we go, we go. We done it. We done it before. We'll do it again. Don't worry about it. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
Yeah.
And
Like that,
and I
I feel
think,
like that only makes you feel good for like a little bit until
yeah,
you're
I go
scrolling
back in
again
my
and you see the
thoughts.
next video and you see and you're like, oh my god, the fear's back.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I've been doing to try to feel better is, like, prepare, like I told you, with those people that are self-deporting, right?
Yeah.
the getting their stuff ready and what I need to do. So I've been trying to do those things to just help myself feel a little bit more in control.
Right.
I told myself that I'm not gonna self-deport. If I'm leaving this country, they're paying my ticket out.
Yes.
I
Yes.
give them enough money with taxes every year.
Yeah.
They can pay my damn ticket out.
Yeah. And girl, it's
And
expensive.
exactly, it
Yeah.
is. So it's
It's
like
like,
you're gonna kick me out, then you kick me out.
yeah.
That's it.
Right.
I told myself I'm not gonna marry for papers. Like that's a conversation I had with my boyfriend. It's like I don't want to do this because of papers. So
Yeah.
no, like no, that's not what I want. That's not what I want to think about. And I wouldn't want to put him through that mentality of like, oh,
True.
I have to do it.
Right.
Like no, you don't. Like don't worry about it. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna
You want to
happen.
get it on your own merit.
Exactly. And if I don't, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's like I'm trying to think about it like that, even though I'm
Yeah.
freaking out. But it's like, you know what, it happens, and trying to, at the same time, trying to figure it out, like what I would do, what country would we end going next. Obviously, yes, we'll go to Venezuela first, but there's no future there, especially not right now, unless the president's change. If that
Right. And
happens in
yeah, well,
January,
you're waiting. Yeah.
maybe the country has a possible like movement to change, and hopefully that'll be great. But if it
Yeah.
doesn't, my paternal grandfather was from Spain, so I'll probably head that way. Um, but it's just like little things like that, like planning ahead without fully planning, putting my suitcase together,
Yeah.
And in my head thinking, well, if I leave, if I have to leave, would I be leaving in 2026 when my DACA expires? So I
Right.
have enough time to save as much as I can until it expires
Right.
if
Like
I'm not
all the
able to
planning.
renew. Yeah, like just, and it's like just thoughts that I have. It's not like I'm putting like a savings account or, but I'm just
Right.
doing, it's like a light planning just to feel better, I guess, because
Yeah.
I don't trust him. I don't trust anything
Literally.
that Trump says. I joined like a little kind of like a movement. I don't know if you heard about them, but it's called Spanglish. Uh, her community is called Spanglish Community.
Okay.
She's a Spanglish girl, Julieta. I can't remember her last name right now, but and I'll send it to you. But there were actually your video of asking for podcasts came up in our little movement where we're,
Oh my
and I
God.
don't know if you're
Stop it.
starting to see, I swear, and some other people that I'm pretty sure the
Oh my
people
God.
that you have interviewed,
Yeah.
but they are I don't know if you've seen, but in TikTok we're kind of starting this trend of, or not in TikTok, but Instagram and TikTok, of like DACA recipients telling our story, telling what we do
Yes.
for this country, and just kind of putting it out there so people really
Yes.
at least understand them more. And we're trying to spread out the videos, so the videos are coming out one day at a time, or
Yeah.
as much as we can. And that's kind of like the first step of this movement, is to remind him what he has promised, right?
Yes.
Because I don't
Literally.
think none of us believe him, none of
Yes.
us trust him, but
Mm-hmm.
he said it.
Yeah.
Whether it makes sense or it doesn't,
Yes.
again,
Right. Right.
he said in one interview back in June, he said that if anybody who graduated from college, you should get an automatic green card with your college diploma. And I'm
You
like, I
know
have
what?
two.
Yes, I remember that.
I have two. I have two green cards. You all be two,
You're like,
right?
give it to me now.
Uh, so we're kind of, our movement is just mainly to try to hold him accountable. I know that leaves out a lot of the people that we wish, right? Like my parents didn't get a diploma from here, right? They're both graduates, but from Venezuela,
Yeah.
so they wouldn't benefit from there. From DACA, if he said like, oh, I help the dreamers because they've been here, my parents wouldn't benefit from that either. But it's about trying to hold him accountable for what he has said,
Yes.
because obviously fighting for all of us, he has left up with nothing for so many years. Now, why not to try to get something? Because I know that if I benefit from it, my parents are gonna benefit from it long
True.
term,
Yeah.
which are like the real, the OG dreamers, right?
Yes.
So,
Literally. Yes. They are.
so it's
Yes.
is that kind of feeling of like, even if we get one little thing,
Yeah.
One little thing.
Even if it's just
And
like
it's
the
better than,
residency, you know?
yeah,
Like,
something.
yeah,
Something more permanent that is not 2 years and that not every year somebody's trying to
take it away,
go
pull it
with
out
the
from under us.
Johnson, trying to get it out of the way. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
aren't you guys tired of going after DACA? Like,
Right?
every time I hear the news, I'm like, just, I don't want to read about it. I don't want to hear about it.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't want to know what they're saying this time. Just tell me what the judge decided then.
Right. Yeah.
Was the final decision whether I can continue applying or not? And
Right.
when they took it away from like new applications, like I felt so bad because
Yes.
that's
Yeah. So there hasn't been any new one since he was in there because that was the one thing he did.
exactly that's the one he was able to get.
Yeah.
So this time it's like you took away the initials. Are you gonna be able to take renewals? Are you gonna be able to take away the renewal? Are you gonna be able to just end it completely immediately? Like, will my work permit be valid? Like for the 2 years that I have left, or
Right.
would it
Right.
not?
Yeah.
It's like all those questions are like, in the back of my mind that I try to not think about them too much, but it's still, it's just,
Can you imagine if he goes in and he's like, you know what I also find kind of crazy is that when they were interviewing him in that interview, he was like, "Oh, the first thing I'm gonna do on day one is pardon all the January 6 rioters."
oh yeah,
It's like that's your biggest priority on the first
that's
day.
your priority because they try to take over the government
Yeah,
for you in
for
your
you.
name.
Yeah,
So that's what is important.
right.
I, I'm just like, are you gonna pardon the cop that shot the lady too? Oh
Right.
no, that one you don't pardon that one,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
that one no. Even though she was climbing inside a window. Like,
yeah,
and I'm not saying nobody deserves to die because that's not at all. It's just
yeah.
like make it make sense, right? Make it
Literally.
make sense.
Yeah. I was like, how is it that that's your biggest thing you're gonna do on day one?
Exactly.
But
But people are for that and they're like, yes. And it's like, but I thought you guys were patriotic. I thought you
right.
guys respect the government. So it's just respect the government when you want, no when it
Yeah.
favors you.
I think that's what
Um,
it is. Yeah.
and it's so sad because I remember my friend asked him, "Do you think there are gonna be riots after the election?" And I
I was
was
just
like, "It
gonna ask you
depends."
that.
So it's like, honestly, it depends on who wins. And they were like, "Oh, why?" And I was like, "Well, if Harris wins,
Of
there's
course.
gonna be hundred
Oh
percent
yeah.
riots,
Oh yeah.
100%. If Trump wins, we're gonna be sad. We're gonna be disappointed. And we might do a protest here and there, like the Women's March, and we're gonna do other like the protests, but riots, I don't think so.
No. No.
I don't think so. We're just gonna be blaming the Democratic Party for a while. Because
Yes,
don't get me
literally.
wrong, I don't consider myself a Democrat either.
Yeah.
If I had the privilege to vote, because that's something we don't vote.
No.
No, none of
And
us
that's
can
another
vote.
thing. They think that we're over here hijacking the election. And it's like,
I, I was like, you have zero idea. Like, we
right?
cannot,
It's like,
nothing. We don't
no.
vote. We don't get the mailing. Everybody gets the mail. It's for residents. No, sir, it's not for residents. My
It's like,
residents, we have 4 people and none of us got one. Like, no,
how do
that's a
you not
lie.
know this? That you can only vote if you're a citizen. Like, how do we not know this?
How do we believe that we're able to not, to
Right?
avoid something happen?
Yeah.
Somehow we're able to send in our votes. Like, don't
Yeah.
get me, no, we cannot. And that's so sad. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely cannot hope. But I
Literally.
don't consider myself like either side of the. If I could vote, I think I wouldn't consider myself either one side. I would probably be, bipartisan in the middle, more
Yeah.
on the liberal side,
Right.
but more. I think I feel I'm more like more in the liberal side, but more in the middle. Like
Yeah.
more like there's some things that I
Agree from both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yes, I think the Republican Party has lost a lot of it because of pu- putting Trump in. Like they lost who the Republican Party used to be. Um, so obviously, if I were to be able to vote, and those are the two options, because obviously sadly in a two-party system,
Yeah.
I will definitely go Democratic this
Right.
time.
Right.
But
It's
then
like
again,
you have to pick like the lesser of two evils. It kind of feels like.
exactly, exactly, which is
Yeah.
so sad because if we had a third party person that actually had the money and the support, it could make it happen. But again,
Right?
it's impossible because they run the country,
Yeah.
the two party system. So it's so unfortunate, but definitely I don't love either one.
Yes.
I'm more in the middle. But out of these two, I was like, anybody but him.
Yeah.
Anyone but him. And
Yeah.
it's like,
It was
and I
just
have
like the stuff that was coming out of his mouth that you're just like, how are people agreeing with this?
and how you okay with somebody in power, in that, not just in power, as like the president of the United States, to speak like that, and you're okay with
Right?
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not like he's in power because he's the president of a company or he's, no, 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 no. Like the president,
Yeah.
you're okay with
Yeah.
somebody speaking like that.
Right?
I know somebody, a friend of mine, who sadly voted for him, and I didn't speak to until recently because since the elections, because I was just so mad,
Right?
so hurt, so hurt. I think it
Yeah.
was more hurtful than mad because in my head I'm like, you voted for the person that wants to get rid of me, and like,
Yes. Yeah.
so your love for me is less important than and and obviously in her head she doesn't see it like that.
Yeah.
She doesn't see it out of malice. I know that. But she asked me, she's like, do you think you will feel safer if she would have won? And I'm like, yes, I
Yeah.
would have.
Yeah.
And she's like, but don't you think that if she would have won, and then the border still stays open, and which I don't understand that they cannot just like close a border. That's a foreign country to people that they actually believe that the wall is gonna do anything,
Yeah.
right?
Literally.
But
It's like, you know how many
that's a
years they've
different
had that
conversation.
wall? Like,
Like,
people have been
there's no
coming in
reason
here
why the
for
wall
ages.
there, the
Yeah.
little wall that
Yeah.
there's there. People
Yeah.
still either jump it, go around it, go
Yeah.
under it. Like
Literally. And then
there's like
what did he do?
stairs.
Those he had 4 years to build something, and could he?
No, he did like 2.3% of the wall that was already there. He
Yeah.
remodeled the wall
Yeah.
that was already
It's
there.
like,
So it's
sir,
like, and people are still going around it,
right?
over it, under it,
It's
going
like,
the river. Like, but
yeah.
she said she was like, but they because of the open borders, more immigration immigrants are gonna come in, and the the loud voice for a mass deportation is gonna just get louder if
Yeah.
she would have won. And I'm like, maybe you're right, maybe. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, because of even if the mass deportation would have gotten louder or whatever, or like more people would have won that, it still would have given me 4 more years where I would feel like I wasn't going to be persecuted those 4 years. And
Yes.
right now, I'm not saying that I'm being persecuted. I have not deportation order or anything like that.
Yeah. But I
But
mean, we
it's
don't want it to get to that point.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that's what it feels like it
Yeah.
could. And
Right?
and it's sad because I think most people that voted for him don't do it out of malice and don't do it because their neighbor, I'm gonna be stereotypical, but the neighbor Jose, who is right next door,
Yeah.
who works really hard, he's not gonna be affected. He's a good one. He's the good one.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, do you understand that there's not gonna be a differentiation? There's not gonna be a little checklist where like if
Yeah.
you are marked yes to any of them, then you're fine.
Yeah.
Like everybody's gonna go.
So
If he's
true.
able to do what he wants to
Yeah.
do, we're all going. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what if you're the good person or you're the one criminal that cross over.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's bad people everywhere, right? But
Sure.
there's not gonna be a separation,
Yeah.
which is the scariest part.
That is. It's the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. If you could educate one person out there about dreamers, what would you want them to know?
That we give to the economy. We pay taxes every year, especially because we want to make sure that we're okay. If there's ever some type of path or some type of support, we don't want to be not having something, right? So we pay our taxes. We have to go through a background check for us to even be um, considered for DACA. Um, so that means that I'm not committing crimes every day
Yeah.
or any day. I we normally
Girl, I
try
got
to
a
be.
speeding ticket a couple years ago and I was so scared for my life when I renewed it.
Oh my God, seriously, see, like I swear that I feel like we try to be more conscious about those little things. Like people are like, I have friends, that go out and have like 2 drinks and then they go and drive, and I have one and I'm freaking out.
Oh my God, yes, yes. That's a great point you made. Yeah. Right after the election, I was at work and the manager was like, "Oh, do you guys want to have a drink?" And one person was like, "No, I can't have a drink. Not after who's going to be in office." And I was
Yeah.
like, "You know what? That is so true."
Mm. Like we have to be extra careful what we do, what we don't do. And it's like people really don't think that we can, like we're better citizens than the normal citizen. The actual citizen, we're probably
Yeah,
normal, probably better in the sense that we don't commit any crimes. We are less likely to commit crimes. Yes,
yeah,
there's bad people out there, but we're less likely. Most of us have a career. Most of us are probably just like most people are still in debt with school. Most of us are still in debt with school. Um, we I'm not here trying to take nobody's job. I'm not trying to.
right.
I worked. I went to school. I went to school for a long time. I got my master's, and all I want to do is just feel comfortable to the point that I don't need to be having something over my head.
Yes.
Because it feels like we're some type of like a pawn in this political debates every single year.
Yeah.
Um,
Every 4 years, every two
every 4 years,
years.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Just
we're
always
just a
gets brought up.
pawn, exactly. And it's just to try to make points, and nobody does anything. Nobody's actually done anything for us besides Obama giving us this deferred action, which I think
Yes.
I'm very
Mm-hmm.
grateful for it.
Yeah.
But it's so unstable too. Every 2 years I
Yeah.
have to renew.
Right? It's like, who
Not that
came
many
up with
people.
that? With that every 2 years? Like, why couldn't
Like
it happen
why every
four?
2 years? Yeah,
Right?
like
Like,
why every
why?
2 years? And then people are like, oh, like for a lot of people, like I renew my license every 4 years, and I'm like, I have to do it every 2 years. Like I have to go and do my new license every two because it goes with my work permit.
Yeah.
Well, here in California, we're lucky to have the SB 68, I believe, which gives undocumented the opportunity to have a license, but it
Yes.
has the limit, the federal limit thing on it.
Yeah.
If you want
True.
your real ID, has to be every 2 years,
Yes. I just
which
found that out that you could do the real ID, but you have to go
yeah,
in there and do the whole process every 2 years of
and you
renewing
need to
it.
have both your work permit, your
Yeah.
social, the letter that says that you got it.
Yeah.
It was a lot. I did it the first time, and it just expires with my work permit
Yeah.
in May when I renew, and I
Yeah.
haven't done it. I just like I don't want to. Like
Right?
I don't
I was
want.
like, I was like, wow, like, should I do it? But it just sounds just like such an extra hassle.
Yeah, the only reason that I will do it, and I'll probably do it next year, or maybe I'll do it this year before he comes into office. Actually, that might be a better idea, but
Ooh, tell me.
it's because of the traveling inside the country.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Because you're able to, go state to state with that real ID. So it might be worth it because of that.
True.
I
Yeah.
I didn't want to, but my Venezuelan passport is long expired. So if I wanna at least be able to go to Vegas in a plane,
Right.
which I could drive, but
Oh
if
my
I
God.
want to,
Who wants to sit in
I will.
traffic for 5 hours? No.
Really, I know it's too much. So, but like if at least I want to be able to do that,
Yeah.
I guess might as well do it. But
Yeah. True.
it is a hassle. Just make an appointment though. Make an appointment so it's easier.
Yeah.
Making an
That's
appointment
true.
online and
That's
just
true.
showing up with all the documents. And the first time I did it, it wasn't that bad. It was.
So
It's
you
just that.
take your, like, the notice that they send you. telling you that it
The
got
notice,
accepted?
the approval, yeah, like the approval notice plus your actual real card, your
Okay,
like work permit card, and the defer action uh,
letter.
approval letter,
Okay,
plus your social
so you
security.
guys know.
So all of
Hey,
that is,
your documents if you want to get that
mhm.
real ID.
And the original ones because they don't take copies. So those are original ones because they'll make the copies in there for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they'll make the copies and then you take your documents back home. But if you take copies, I think they don't accept it because they want to see the physical
The
card. They
original
want to see the
ones, right?
physical,
Yeah,
hmm the
yeah,
physical real uh, social security and everything.
yeah. I
So
can
it
see that. I can see that.
it's worth doing it, especially
Yeah,
if you want to at least be able to travel. It's just it's just frustrating because like
yeah.
my work permit was expiring in May and I submitted my application on time and there was like a period of like 2 weeks where I hadn't gotten it
Yes, I
where
wanted to
I
ask you that.
was
Did you experience that? I saw, oh my God, so many people being like, my renewal is taking forever to come. Like, I renewed it, like the,
hmm
what they say to do it, 3 months before.
yeah.
And everybody was like, they're taking a long time. And I
hmm
was reading stories of people like losing their jobs. Did you
I
experience that?
I'm lucky enough that my job didn't check.
Nice.
Like I was like if they're gonna fire me, they're gonna fire me. I'm
Right,
just
right.
gonna
Like,
wait until they actually do it.
I'm not going to
Um,
bring it up. I'm going to wait for you guys.
exactly. I know that the first thing that they check is my license because I drive children around, so I have to have a valid driver license.
Oh, okay.
So I kept getting notifications like your license is about to expire, your license is about to expire, and you
Yeah.
please submit your new license, please submit your renewal. So at
Yeah.
that point, I went into the DMV and I got my SB
Oh,
86 license.
okay.
So
Smart.
just I had a license. So
Oh,
I had my once I had my temporary license, I submitted that for a bit, and then I got my real my official license and I
really?
submitted that.
Oh, that's
But
smart.
I did
Okay. That's good to
so
know. That's good to
that
know.
yes, with that they weren't and because that license lasts 5 years, I was like at least I have that license for 5 years.
Yes.
Whatever happens. Um, then my work permit, I think that was a period of like 2.5 weeks where I was not like I had the notice of approval, so I
Yes.
submitted,
Yeah.
but I didn't have the actual card. Um, I submitted my notice of approval and I didn't hear anything. I do work for the county,
Yeah.
so I believe they have so many employees that they might have just missed it, or maybe because they got my
Thank
notice of
goodness.
approval, they know they were like, okay, it's approved. We're just
Yeah.
waiting for the actual card. As
Oh
soon as
my.
I got it, I sent it, and I didn't have any issues. I'm glad I didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
I think they were more worried about my license, but then as soon as I submitted that, they were okay.
They were like,
But I have heard so many people like that fear of losing their
yeah.
job, and I think about it, and I'm like, that's so scary because I was scared too. Because I remember telling some of my coworkers, it's my last week today, and they were like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'll probably get fired tomorrow, and they're like, why? I was like, my work permit expires, so
Yeah. It's just like,
like, but they never did anything,
that's
and
amazing.
the good thing is that the times overlapped, so there was not a time where I was illegally working.
Oh, okay.
Um, in the cards, the
Yeah.
times perfectly matched, so it was not like I was illegally working at any
Yeah.
point. It's just a matter of whether they had the card, the physical card, and
Yeah. And did you notice that too? That they put the date that, like, the day that you receive that it says, oh, your DACA got approved. That's the date that's on the card. Regardless if you
mm-hmm,
get your card like a month later.
yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I was okay because I got the letter, but I hadn't gotten the card. The
Yeah.
card just was not coming in. I kept checking. I was like, maybe it got lost. I was so
Oh my
worried. It was one of those things that is like, please don't get lost in the mail.
Right?
Like, but it's just they were taking
We're just,
forever,
yeah.
and I think it keeps happening. I know a lot of people, especially now since he won, that so many people are doing early renewals
Yes, they're doing six
because
months
of their
now.
fear. Yeah, because
Yes.
of their fear that right now everything's taking forever,
Yeah.
which is putting in danger the people that are renewing on time.
That's true too. Yeah.
because it's pushes, it's because there's
Yeah.
such a big amount, and I feel bad, but I thought about doing mine too, but then I realized, okay, never mind. Mine just got approved this year, so
Right.
it's a
Yeah. It's
year and a
like,
half ahead. I can submit that early
right.
on,
Yeah.
that early. But
Literally.
it's one of those like, oh my goodness.
Have
But
you have you considered doing maybe advanced parole?
I have, and I have thought about it, but my job doesn't have any like opportunities for me to submit through work. When I was in school, I just went to school, so I never had an opportunity to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go and study abroad" or something that would make fill out the educational part.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Like
then
to do like a reason.
exactly, and then the
Yeah.
humanitarian part, I only one was I had my grandma, um, but it was one of those things that I have heard so many stories of people being denied because of grandparents, and then I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to Venezuela because of things how they are in Venezuela, like having your passport like taken away and things like it was just one of
Oh.
those things that the fear of possibly even requesting to go to Venezuela.
Yeah.
And
True.
to be
More
honest, I don't
uncertainty.
think I had, yeah, and I don't think I had valid, good reasons enough that it would have been approved.
Yeah.
So even though I wanted to many times, I just never went
And
through
then
the
the money.
process
The
because of
money.
this.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
money. And I knew this one was something that I just couldn't do on my own. Like I had to get an attorney. I had to get to make sure that I had all the documents necessary.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I don't think I have had good enough reasons to submit one that
Yeah.
would
That's
have
what I
gotten
feel
approved
too.
for sure. And then I didn't want to waste the money if it doesn't get approved.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that was
That's.
one of the reasons why I just never went through it.
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
right there
people
with
talk
you.
about the legal entry, and I have a legal entry
Well, true.
with the
Yeah.
tourist
Yeah.
visa.
That's true.
Um,
Yes.
and that one, like the I-98, whatever 991, whatever is safe, is in like the safest place of the home. Like I'm like take care of it like it's a
Like
baby,
frame
a
it.
little paper. Literally, like that's how I feel with that
Yeah.
little thing.
Oh my God.
But it's one of those feelings like, yeah, I I have thought about it and I wanted to, but never had really
Yeah.
good enough reasons and the money to be like, even if it doesn't get approved, at least I try. Like I just didn't have that.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. I'm like right there with you. I'm just like, I feel like I don't have a good enough reason. And I've heard
And
that
I have heard
they ask for proof.
exactly that's the other thing. Like they ask for proof, like not just my grandma
Oh,
think is sick. Like no, like we need like doctors and I
yes.
have heard that some people don't get approved for
Yeah.
like grandparents because apparently it's just immediate family.
Yeah.
But then other people, yes, I do get approved for grandparents,
Yeah.
but
It's
so
just
there's so
a lot.
much inconsistency in
Yeah.
their acceptance and rejections that I'm like,
Yeah.
is it worth it to risk it? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. It looks so beautiful. Like when you see their videos and they're just like, their first time going after, 25 years, 30 years. And it's like, wow, you just
It
can't.
feels
Yeah.
every time I see those videos, I get emotional, I start tearing up.
Right. Oh my God. And them
I don't know.
experiencing it for the first
Yeah.
time. Oh,
I don't know if you've seen that. There was a little TikTok like trend that happened where like the canción de En otra vida and they start singing and then they're talking En otra vida I would have been born in the United States. I would have been a
oh
citizen and I just start like
yes.
bawling.
Oh,
I'm like, why am I so emotional with this
right.
thing?
It's like, oh, yeah. It's like, why couldn't you guys have been here 2 years sooner?
Exactly.
3 years sooner, 5 years sooner.
And
Yeah, like
it's
a lot of the kids that, they came when they were 2 years old, 5 years old, and it's like, yeah,
and they fully don't have a memory. Like I have memories,
yeah,
very vague ones, but I have memories, and I
yes,
I remember like even some of my friends that I went to school with, that I
yeah,
remember like saying goodbye to. Like sometimes I still getting see them through Facebook and
yeah.
Instagram, like this
Oh,
the
yeah,
random hi and
yeah,
And it's crazy because like I have those memories, and I remember like how the streets were for my house. I don't remember much about it, and I know things have changed too. My dad showed me a picture not long ago of like the street where the house used to be, our little house where I was born at, and I was like, I recognize like that corner. I think that was a
Yeah.
restaurant that I really liked, and he's like, yeah, that's the Spanish restaurant,
Oh,
and then I was like, everything else
no.
don't recognize it, and
Yeah.
he's like, it's changed a bit, but yeah, this is it. I'm like, wow, like I don't recognize half of it,
Yeah.
and it makes me really sad because
Right.
I get when I was 13, like part of me feels like I should remember more, but I was 13 too, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. True. Yeah.
and I remember counting, like when I was here now at 13 years, I was like, oh, half of my life I've been in Venezuela, half of my life I've been here, and now I've been a lot longer here in the United
Yeah.
States than in Venezuela, and it's like, uh, I remember too during the protest too back in Venezuela, like there was this, they used to use this app to like communicate because they didn't have news, like the government controls all the news outlets and everything. So I would like join, and some people here would join to like send them information of what we would see here,
Yeah.
because we would see more information from here than they would see over there.
Oh,
And I remember people being hateful too, like, oh, you're not even here, like how dare you even tell us what to do or what not to do? Like you're not Venezuelan any longer, you're
yeah.
probably a gringa now. And I'm like, oh,
Oh my
that's so
God.
so sad and so hurtful. And I
Yeah.
remember those things, and I'm like, man, I'm not even from there either anymore, you know?
You know what? They
It's
do
that
say
feeling of
that.
like, no, ni de allá ni de acá, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it sucks, you know. Other people were very happy and very thankful, but it was
Yeah.
just those few, right?
You
And
do. Yeah.
just those get stuck with you, and it's like, man, you say that I'm not from there, but I'm not from here. Definitely not from here.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Especially
Cause
now, it's like it doesn't feel like they even want me here.
exactly, like
Yeah. Yeah.
there
Even though you've
was,
been here
hmm
half of
and
your
I've
life.
now been
Yeah.
here a lot longer than I
True.
ever was in Venezuela. So it's like, man,
True. Okay. Let's see. If you could speak to lawmakers,
mhm.
Congress, the president, if this, makes it to him, what would you want them to know about dreamers?
I feel like I mentioned before, we contribute to the economy in amounts that it will hurt the United States if we were to be all deported. If the mass deportation were to happen, the United States will suffer.
They would.
It's not, yes, we will be sad. Yes, we would definitely have to start over somewhere else. But I feel like we all have at some point done that when we came here, whether it was our parents, um, whether it was us, or whether it was our parents that taught us how to do it.
Yeah.
Um, but the United States will suffer. They would definitely suffer economically, financially, in the workforce. You're losing amazing people that are teachers, nurses, doctors, um, firefighters, people that were working throughout the COVID-19,
Right?
and where
Yes.
everybody was they're essential workers.
Yes.
Like I remember I was
Exactly.
out there working, like I never stopped. Like
Exactly.
they're like,
Yes.
we wrote it down, you know,
Yeah. Those were
we've
all
been
your
there.
essential workers still out there.
Exactly. So
Yes.
the United States will suffer
Yeah.
definitely in all the areas, and it's just like a reminder, like we're here helping making this country great too.
Yeah.
We're
Literally
part of what makes this
making
country
your
great.
America great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it would be like that. I think that would be my main message.
Yeah.
We make America great. Like as sad as that, I hate that slogan, but part of me is like, but
Literally.
we do. We make
We
America great
we
too.
do.
We
Yeah.
help. We help.
Yeah.
And that's what I would like them to know. I remember.
What does the American dream mean to you?
I think it's crazy, right? Because I always dream of that. Have my own house, my white picket fence, and my little
Right.
dog, and my family,
Yeah.
and have a stable life, where I'm not struggling every day to make sure that we have enough to eat. Like that feeling of I'm able to go out there, do my work, and still be a present parent, and have my family,
Yeah.
and have time for my kiddos, and have time for my husband and my future husband, my future kiddos that I don't
Yeah.
have yet. But that
Yes.
part is my dream,
Yeah.
that I can continue doing something that I love to do, um, continue helping my community the best that I can, but at the same time not feeling like I'm struggling on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's why my family left my country. I think that's why, even though we weren't poor, we were not rich, we were not even middle class, we were probably in that in between.
Yeah.
And we struggle. We struggle. We didn't have. There were some times where we didn't have Christmas gifts for the family, and that was sad. But it was just
Yeah.
part of. We were okay with it,
Yes.
and now it's like that's what I want. I want to make sure that that doesn't happen in my future. And
Right.
I
Yeah.
know that's why my parents brought me here, so I had better opportunities for a better education,
Yeah.
or better chances in when it comes to careers, and I I done as much as I can. I gone to school, I done my work, I went and continued school after doing my master's, and I always think that I'm getting close to that dream.
Right.
Um, but then it's that stability of knowing that I'm not gonna go get deported tomorrow. I
Yes.
feel like
Yeah.
having that security is part of that dream, that I don't want to
Yes.
have to be scared. I don't want to be
Yes.
living in fear. And that's what I feel like we have been living since we came to this country,
Right.
in this fear that is not super present, but it's in the back of our heads
Yeah.
always, no matter what.
Yeah.
And then when he won the first time, it was
He
very
just
present,
brings it, yeah, to the forefront.
brings
Yeah.
it completely, and then it kind of went to sleep for a little bit, and now
Yes.
we're back.
And now we're
Very
back in
scary
it.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
And
moves back up. Yeah.
I don't want to keep living in that fear, definitely.
Yeah. It's like you're like trying to like check all the check marks, like, you know, graduate, go to college, go to
Hmm.
university, get that dream job, and it's still
Hmm.
not enough.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It feels like I've never committed a crime, gotten tickets before, but haven't even gotten like really bad tickets. The only tickets I get are always the sweeping, because I always forget to move my car when I need
Girl,
to.
I just got one last week.
I hate those.
Oh my
I always
God.
forget.
Yeah.
Or when I don't
Wednesday.
forget, I know, when I don't forget that I know that I need to move it, I go like 5 minutes too late. And it's like,
Yeah. I was like, darn it.
so,
Yeah.
those are like, that's the biggest crimes that I've committed.
Right?
Obviously,
Don't
staying
purchase
in this
ticket.
country,
Yeah.
I get it, it's a crime. But it's not something that we did out of malice. It's not something that we're just trying to have a better life, and
Yeah.
that's what we have worked on. And like my family, both my parents have worked very hard, and they work under the table doing the jobs that nobody else wants to do.
Yeah.
Um, they they work hours and hours, countless hours, just to make sure that I had enough to go to college, and to help me pay my college, and to help me pay my degrees, and
Yeah.
make sure that we have enough for rent. And now that I finally have an adult job, that's what I call this, my job,
Yeah.
an adult job. It's not
Yeah.
my restaurant job anymore. It's my
Right?
full adult
Oh,
career job.
yeah,
I do
literally.
my yeah, like I do now my best to help them. I do my best to pay the rent whenever I can, and do as much as I can for them.
Right. To take like a load off of them.
I love exactly, but it's still they're still working. They never stop. During COVID, I was the only one working because their jobs were completely stopped, but mine, we kept going. So thank God that at
Yeah.
that point I was already in my adult job, because it helped. We were out there, we were working full
Yeah.
time, we never stopped, and that's how it feels like. I I want to be able to live like that, but without having to have that worry that what's gonna happen tomorrow.
Right.
You know,
True. Yes.
like we don't want no handouts. We just want to be treated the same as
Yeah.
anybody else. And like my family is a family that would even if they were to qualify at some point, they would never go into government assistance because they've been
Right.
without it for forever because they don't
Yes.
qualify, so they're used to it. They don't need it, and we don't want it. Like
For sure.
we know we're here because we just want to feel like that that we belong
Yes.
somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And
You want to be
and I
able to
think
like
that's the
set,
fear.
put roots down.
Like I was thinking about buying a home earlier this year.
Yeah.
I was going through the process, talking to the broker, talking to the loan people, talking to like what do I need to do?
Yeah.
Let me fix my score, and then he won. And I was like, whoop,
You're like, let's put this on pause.
yeah. And I even the brokers were like, what happened? I was like, I can't. I can't because I don't know if I'm gonna get deported. I'm not gonna waste my little savings that I have on
Yeah.
in a closing or opening the where when there there's a big chance that we're gonna get deported.
Yeah. There's so
Like
much uncertainty. Yeah.
that I'm like, what's the like? It wouldn't like what's gonna happen with the house? What would
Yeah.
happen with the mortgage? Like I
True.
I can afford a mortgage now, but can I afford a mortgage when I'm working in Venezuela? Probably not. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to keep
True.
paying a house. Like even my car, like I have a card, like a used car, like a 2020 car this past year, and I'm still paying it off,
Yeah.
and I'm just like even thinking about like, well, I need to leave and notarize something that says that my aunt, who is the citizen, right, and my uncle have the power to do something whatever they need with this car. Like I'm literally thinking about what I need to put in that paper notarized. Like they'll be able to have to get access to my accounts, to have
Yeah.
access to certain things because whenever if we were to leave emergency situation and they need to get my money out, like I need them to have to be able like those are the things that we're like
Wow.
thinking about without
Right.
wanting to think
All the
about. Like I don't want to be
planning.
thinking exactly, and I'm like
Yeah.
I don't want to be thinking about it. My aunt and uncle was like, well, you better pay that car before you leave it to us. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
okay.
God.
Like it's all like all
Yeah. Oh my
those little
God.
things, that I would
Yeah.
try to make jokes out of it so we don't
Yeah.
I always tell them I'm like I'm making jokes so I don't cry. Like
Right, literally, you're like, I gotta lighten this up because if I let
exactly.
it get to me, oh, it's just such a dark place to be.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
I keep telling myself and my closest friends, I don't want to be in that dark place
No.
like I was the first time around that he
Yeah.
won. Like this time I need to move. I need to figure things out. I need to make sure that I am planning.
Yeah.
And my
Trying to
friend
be
is
like a
like,
step ahead,
exactly, like just in case. And I hope
just
I
in
don't need
case.
to
Yeah.
use any of this. And I hope that I really, really, really do hope that I'm wrong about him.
Yeah.
And I really hope that things go well and
Yeah.
things are better, like people really believe that he is going to do. I
Yeah.
really hope so.
Yeah.
And if people want to be like, "Ha, I told you so," then I'll be
Right?
happy to get
Literally.
all those "I told you so," like
Yes.
bring them
Yes.
to me.
Yes.
But until then, I can't because I don't trust
Literally.
it. I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
And the only time that the only way to feel a little bit more sane is by doing those planning.
Right. Yeah.
Because even though it's sad and it's scary and it's like, why would you even think about those things? It's like I'd rather be ready than
Yeah. Then be
if somebody
unprepared.
knocks at the door and then what are we
Yeah.
doing? What are we gonna
Right.
do? Like, what are our
Yeah.
papers? Where's it? Like,
True.
what can we do?
Yeah.
So that's my only like I don't want to be living like that anymore.
Literally.
It's just,
Yes. Yes. Let's manifest that those words that came out of him during that interview really do change
oh,
something in him, and he does something.
yeah, I really hope so.
Yeah.
I really do hope, and I hope so. That's all
Right.
we can
It's
do,
like
right? It's
that's all
just
we can
hope.
do literally is just hope.
It's hope.
Yeah.
Hope for
And
the best.
yeah, yeah. And
That's
not
how
let the
I
fear
always tell
take
my
over.
parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hope for the best, but can we prepare for the worst just in case? And
Yes.
they're like, "Oh
Yeah.
God, you're so good." I'm like, I am. I tell them, I was like, my
Yeah.
anxiety comes from you guys. It doesn't come just from thin air. And they're like, no,
Yeah.
it's not us. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it came from somewhere.
Right? That
I'm
is
like,
so
this is,
true. Yeah.
yeah,
But
so
you'd rather be safe than sorry.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like, even now, like, I know that I should be going and get things notarized, and I'm like, ugh, like, those are things that I want to do, but at the same time, I hate that I have to, that I feel like I should do them. Like, I don't want to have to feel like this.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
It does.
Sucks.
It really, really does. But like you
Yeah.
said, it just gives you a little bit of a like a safety, like
Yeah,
a
like, I don't know if it's a peace of mind, because it's not really a peace of mind, but it feels like, I think it's feeling like I still have some type of control.
yes.
I think what it is. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like
That you know
I know
what,
I'm
like you
fully.
said, like your car, like
Mhm.
you knowing that okay, I gotta notarize it to make sure that, my car's gonna be with somebody, a family
Mhm.
member, rather than you just losing everything that you've worked so hard for.
Exactly. And it's like, it's that, yeah, it's that feeling like, yeah, I need to know that things are gonna be as okay as it can be.
Yeah.
And I wanna be in as much in control that I can, because obviously we're not in control of what could
Yeah,
happen.
for
So
sure.
if I don't know where I'll wake up tomorrow, at least I know what could possibly happen when I
Right.
wake up somewhere else. Like,
Yeah.
if that's what ends up happening, which
True.
hopefully, again, hope I'm wrong. I
Yeah.
really hope I'm wrong.
Please prove
Really
us
hope
wrong.
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Like, do something. You said it. You said
Yes.
it twice already on a few things. So we're
Yeah.
like, just keep your word. Keep your word.
Right. It's like let this be the one time you do.
Right? Like, let this be the one thing you don't lie about.
Yeah. Please. Okay. So, um, do you wanna do you remember the group's name? So we can go ahead and include them and like that way people can join them, the community.
Yeah, so if you can probably look, because I will put you into.
Or you can just send it to me and then we can tag them.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
We can
So
do
I will
that.
tag Julieta Vasquez. That's her last name.
Julieta
She
Vasquez.
in Facebook, she's pretty much the one that is kind of leading. She's our little. We call her the leader. She probably doesn't even feel like she's the leader, but she's kind of the
My
leader.
God, I love it.
And
You're like, you're in charge.
exactly. She's like, hey, and she has her community, and within that community, like, you can join the community through her Instagram and through her Facebook.
Okay.
That's how you join the community, and then she
Okay,
will
guys.
pretty much add you to stuff. So it's cool.
I
It's
love
cool.
it. So that way we can all, get stronger together
That's
and
how we feel. We're like, we gotta
yeah.
be stronger together. And a lot of people are like, well, why would you just be caring about those who graduated or just those that have DACA? And it's like, it's not that we just care about that. Is we're just trying to hold him accountable for what he said.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
it's just a small step, if just
Literally.
a percentage of us get
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
that's a start.
Literally.
Instead of just not doing nothing and just
Right?
sitting
Yeah.
there and waiting for him to deport us. Like,
No.
if he's gonna deport us, he's gonna deport us either way. So might as well go down
Mine-
fighting. That's how I
Yes.
see it
Yeah.
this time.
Yeah.
Trying to stay strong like that in that
Yeah.
this time.
Very true. Very true. I love it. Thank you so much, Gabby, for
No,
coming
thank you.
on
Thank you,
and
thank
telling your
you.
story. Oh my God. My hope is that, this reaches people that have no clue about who we are and
Mm-hmm.
it sheds a light on them and it educates them even just like a little bit
Yeah.
so they can
Honestly,
understand.
when I saw your post, I was like, this is so exciting. I've been wanting to do things like this and be put my story out there, because I know that a lot of people will hear it and will hopefully understand better, right?
Right? Yes.
And
Yeah.
like you said, just gotta try to give them a little bit of education as
Yeah.
much as we can.
Literally.
So thank you so much for doing this. It's
Yay.
awesome.
Oh my
Thank you,
God.
thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you.
It's really exciting. I
Yes.
cannot wait
Yes.
to see all these interviews that you're
Oh
gonna
my
be
God.
doing.
Yes, girl. Oh
It's
my
gonna be
God.
so great.
I was so scared like nobody was gonna come in and do it, but it's so exciting to like get a message and they're like, oh my God, I want to tell my story. And I'm like, oh my God, yes. I have so much work to
I
do and I
love it.
love it.
I love that. I love that. I think a lot of people are not losing, but in a way losing the fear, or
Yes.
no more than losing the fear, but I think owning it and living in it and
Yes.
actually accepting it and saying, you know what, I guess I am in fear, but this is who I am.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. I think
Yeah.
that's gonna get us, I guess, far. I think that's
Right.
the way
And
that
like
we
you
would.
said, they already know everything about us. They know where we live, where we
Mhm.
work, everything.
Exactly.
It won't
Exactly. So,
hurt
hey,
to tell your story. What's it gonna do?
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes. Thank you so much
Thank
again.
you.
I
Thank you.
love
Thank
it.
you.
So excited.